Alright, hi there YouTube, it's me, Morphsuit America, and in this video I'll be talking about how to go about getting your weapon to max rarity. The max rarity for new type weapons is plus 35. Old type weapons have plus 40, but if you're playing on North America PSO2, it is not a thing. You do not have old type weapons. And when it comes to new types, there are some weapons that will drop at a max rarity of 35, and then there will be some weapons that you get from a shop that's not at plus 35, and you might be wondering, how do I get it to plus 35? This video is to showcase that example. If you want to get right into it though, there will be a time skip or time skips in the description depending on what you want to see. And if you already know about this, then this video isn't for you. This is more towards the new players or those who aren't aware of the max rarity. So if you go over to your inventory and you stare at the second tab of your weapon details or your item detail, it will have this grind value here. In the parentheses, this is what you want to stare at. It's either going to be 30, a random number from 30 to like 34, and then there's 35. 35 will actually have a orange text to it, meaning that this is at max rarity. You do not need any copies. If it's at max 30, that means it's at max 30, but it's not at the max rarity. It has to be 35 for it to work. You're going to need multiple copies to actually get it from 30 to 35. When it comes to most of these weapon drops, they will be at a max rarity. Now, if you get this from a shop, it will be a different story. But most of the 13 star, 14 star, 15 stars that you get off of the field will be at max rarity, meaning that you don't need multiple copies to get it to max rarity or to plus 35, along with getting the element value to plus 60. However, let's say for example you decide to buy something off of a shop. You want to stare at the item detail. When you get something, for example, I'm going to use this NPC right here. I already talked about her, upper right hand corner in the description, especially if you're getting into the Japanese PSO2, if you're a returning player, old player, or even if endgame player or someone that's already up there farming some of the endgame content, you might want to take advantage of this thing. So over here you can see that they have a bunch of 15 stars over here you can buy. You only need to trade in 200 weapon badges 2020. However, if you look at the second tab and stare at that max rarity, it's going to be at 30. So what I'm going to do, trying to figure out what weapon I want to get. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get 6 of these. Now, you might be wondering, why do I need 6 of these weapons? Now, even though technically if you do your math, 30 plus 30 should equal to 60, so it should be able to push to 35 with one copy, right? Wrong. The thing about the grind value when it comes to these weapons is that you need multiple copies of a certain thing. Now, if it was to be at a different number, let's say 31, 32, 33, it's going to add a certain number to it, and I'll demonstrate it visually instead of talking about it. So, let's say you got a max rarity of 30. What you need to do now is get another copy of that particular weapon. The good thing about this is that the element value is at 60. I'll make a separate video talking about how to deal with element value, but most likely the drops over there in North America or like even in Japanese PSO2 should have it at 60. If not, then you would need multiple dupes to get it to the max rarity, which is going to be, or max element value, which is going to be 60. So what I'm going to do is select this thing, and then I'm going to select one of the novel rifles that I got. Pay attention to this number. So this one is at 30, and then the one I'm using is at 30. So when I decide to combine these two, it's going to eat up a decent amount of lambda grinders and stuff. Blah, blah, blah. You can see this is very successful, and now it went from 30 to 31. This is something to note because this is only plus 1. So if I were to try to get this to plus 35, I'm going to need multiple copies to push this to plus 35. So I already used one copy. If I use these 4 right here, I can push it to plus 35. Although I'm going to need a decent amount to go for it to work. So I am back, I got my money now, and I'm going to go with this. However, I will state this: if you decide to use this method, just be aware of what you're doing, what currency you're spending, and you just getting a bunch of dupes. It would be better if you can farm for this off of whatever emergency quest that you have, so it can be a natural plus 35. Granted that you might not have the right element, but you know, there's items to change your element. So I'm going to go with this. It's at plus 31. Adding these 4 will get it to plus 35. Now, as you can see, it is at plus or grind value plus 35, so I don't need to worry about adding any more copies into this weapon. Now, I looked through my inventory to see if there's a bunch of copies that I have with different numbers, and it's gonna be hard for me to actually explain this sort of logic, but you can see I have something that has a max rarity of 31 and then a max rarity of 33. So if I combine the two, what is the max rarity? I'll leave you guys a couple seconds before I actually demonstrate what happens when you combine these two. Alright, you got your prediction. So when I decide to combine these two, you will see that it will actually go to a max rarity of 35. Even though it was like 33 and a 31, yeah, I have no clue how to explain it. Most likely it's counting the fact that you already got the weapon, it's already got like a +1 value to it. So instead of the prior example that I had with the novel weapon where it's only at +0, that is just pretty much +1, +1, +1, +1. But with something that has a different number, for example, like let's say I have something that's normal like this, and then I got something with +4. So technically this is already a +1, but then you add a +4. So it's going to go to 35, and let's see if that is true. You can see I'm going to do this, and you can see up here too the upgrade limit is at 35. I combine it, it is max rarity 35. So just keep in mind that most of the time if you go to a shop, it will have this max rarity of 30, which is just a +1. Actually, that's like a low level rarity weapon, but just keep in mind that if you decide to go to a shop, most of the time it's going to have a max rarity of 30, meaning that you need multiple dupes unless you get something that has a different number. Now, the one exception right now, this is in Japanese PSO2, so you don't need to worry about it if you're playing on North America, is that there is a particular weapon that's already at +35. However, you need to trade a bunch of stuff to actually get this weapon. And I will make a separate video talk about divide and what you want to do and all these goddamn maths. Alright, so there's a couple more things before I end this video that I need to explain about, which is this thing over here. Now, I did showcase this by accident when I was talking about the limited class cubes. If you don't know how to get class cubes and why you want to get disability transfer pass up right hand corner in the description. But when it comes to the class cube exchange, you can also trade in class cubes, so you can get this thing here. This is grind cap +1. So for example, let's say you get a particular weapon from the shop, but you don't have enough currency to get another copy of it. Maybe you have a lot of X cubes or class X cubes. You can change it in for this thing. However, I would advise you not to do that, especially if you're playing on the Japanese PSO2. There was a certain item that was dropping from free field because of a particular event up right hand corner or in the description. But this is the +1 grind item. I don't know if I can actually type that up. Grind. This thing here. This is expensive because it can give a +1 to whatever weapon you have. So you don't need to be very specific with the weapon class. But this is something you can buy so it can help you get to max grind value +35. And that concludes my video talking about how to get to max rarity on your weapon. Now, this is not the same with units. They are different. They are using O-type grinding and they don't really have these sort of things. But if you got any question, comment, concerns, leave it down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.